So I think that we're a couple minutes behind. Might as well dive in. This one's going to take all of the time, more of it. Welcome. We're on the record.
Yeah.
Thanks for recording those. So today is Halloween. It's 10/31/2024. I'm switching it up. We are convening a work session for AM 861-2024, which is Executive Appointment Confirmation Hearing on the Thern Internal Auditor. With that, we'll start with introductions, starting with Mr. Littlefield.
Mark Littlefield.
Karen Rhonda. Anna Brawley.
Daniel Wall.
Christopher Constant on the phone. Mr. Myers.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Salt.
Here, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera.
Present.
Thank you. Anyone else on the phone? Oh, okay, we'll start with the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to all the members for being here today on this snowy Halloween. Spooky in its own way. But I'm very happy to be here to recommend Alden Thern for the role of Director of Internal Audit. Mr. Thern has worked for the municipality for almost 10 years now, including as Deputy Municipal Manager. Here at the municipality, he has led projects spanning disaster recovery, utilities and enterprises, and finance. I'm not sure if SAP is included in disaster recovery, but I know he played a big role in helping get through that one. In his most recent role as Chief Fiscal Officer, he kept the municipality's finances on track and in order through a series of challenges. Most recently, he helped ensure the completion of the 2022 ACFR. Before joining our MOA team, he previously worked at the Anchorage School District for over 15 years. Mr. Thern is a dedicated public servant to the Anchorage community. I am grateful for his many years of hard work and service and glad that he's willing to continue his career here at the municipality as Director of Internal Audit. And I was teasing Mr. Thern earlier, or was that last week, about being the Swiss Army knife of the municipality and being able to step into roles, especially when there's critical need, and really solving problems and helping to keep things moving. And so thank you, Alden, for your tremendous service. And again, it's my pleasure to recommend him for the role of Director of Internal Audit. Thank you.
Thank you. Normally I would immediately pivot to the nominee, but I'm just going to offer my little notes here. I wrote a new title, which is Internal Audit and Special Projects, which is the Swiss Army knife approach. So I think we think like here. Mr. Thern, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the kind words, and me realizing I've been a public servant for 25 years. It seems longer than that. I can tell you the last 9 or 10 years here have seemed like an eternity as well. Yes, I am known as the fixer and the problem solver to the greatest degree possible. I hope that through my many years here that you have seen that, and that you've seen somebody who can deliver in very difficult situations. I am looking forward to this particular opportunity. I do think that there are some opportunities. I'm interested to hear about what the Assembly's vision is, but in sitting and in my various roles, both the school district and here, it's interesting that I have been involved in many different departments across the public sector, and there's always rooms for improvement. And I have been challenged, to try to improve the things that I have been maybe responsible for, but it's difficult to be able to make things better or improve things that maybe you're not the direct leader of. And I kind of see this particular opportunity, depending upon where the mayor and the assembly would like to go, is really an opportunity to maybe look at the municipal services and or departments in a variety, and maybe a new way, maybe a different way, where we can maybe analyze how we're doing things and maybe identify things that we can do better, more efficiently going forward. I've really seen the department do a lot of different audits. I don't know sometimes the value of some of those audits, and more importantly, are the audits actually delivered the results that maybe come up with that and the recommendations. I was mentioning earlier in the meeting I was just in that one of the very first things that I got when I was chose to throw myself on the spear for the CFO was that an audit from the internal audit on accounts receivable for the Treasury Department. It was 30-some pages with many, many different recommendations. And I felt like, we need to do these things. And I found it very challenging, and it took, 4 to 6 months for us to really go through and implement some of the recommendations that were in there. And I thought to myself, I wonder how often that happens in other departments. And here I'm specifically taking that kind of initiative with our department. But I am interested to see, maybe what we can do to look at a variety of different processes or items, maybe differently than what we've been doing in the past with some of the standard audits, and actually look at things that we can maybe make an independent third-party analysis that says, here's what we saw, here's what we, maybe think it could do to make things better and change across a variety of different things. So I'm really thinking that this might be a great opportunity for some different things. I'm not going to come in with a preconceived notion of what you may want it to be or what the mayor is looking for it to be with the staff. But there might be an opportunity to really look at the department and what it produces and what value that might be to the municipality of Anchorage and to the assembly and the administration to make things better. So I'm hopeful. I do think that I have the availability of looking at things differently than maybe have been there before, and maybe there's some opportunity out there. So I'm just going to kind of stop there, but I do think that there is some real opportunity here, and I think that I'm probably a pretty good fit to be able to come in there and try to look at those types of things and see if we can make things better for the city, which has always been my goal from the day one that I got here.
Mr. Littlefield.
Alden, thank you for all your hard work. I just got a quick question on the department itself. How many people do you have working in that department, and what is the vacancies? Because that's going to be a tough position to fill going forward.
Are you talking about the internal audit department?
Yes.
The internal audit department has 3 staff that are assigned to, plus the director, so that would be 4 total, that are assigned to municipal kind of projects. And then kind of an interesting thing, they actually have a 5th person, and that person is embedded in the school district. And it's kind of interesting because when I ran student nutrition for those 2 years, I actually had Pete Rascom and Michael Chadwick in my office because they were very much interested in looking at student nutrition at the school district and why it wasn't being run effectively and efficiently at that point. So it's really an interesting thing that the Muni has. It's kind of like a school resource officer. You got a municipal, paid officer embedded into the school district. Very similar to internal audit. They have a lady that works over there. I don't necessarily know right now how it's determined what project she works on for the school district. We certainly can get to that, but ultimately it's a department of 5. They're all currently staffed to my knowledge, and for the most part employees that have been here for some period of time.
Go ahead, Karen.
I don't know the positions well enough, but to speak with much authority, but the chief fiscal officer, I mean, you were amazing at that. And is this, it almost seems like, I don't know, maybe it's the word auditor that makes me feel like you're taking a demotion. But are you excited to be going into this role? As you kind of described, it's like a chance to see the different side of the coin. Yeah, I'm just curious because you have such broad knowledge of bonding and just, it's amazing.
Thank you for your question, Ms. Baranga. That's an interesting question. I have done a lot, and I certainly can appreciate your support during this entire process. The last year and a half have been very, very, very challenging. I hope I delivered on all those things, but the CFO position is a very demanding position. I just needed, I think, to take a step away from that and just try to make sure I could, live longer than what I was doing. I certainly appreciate your kind words and the things that I was able to deliver. It's just very challenging to continue to do that for a long period of time. I would challenge that it would be good for the community not to have the changeover in the CFOs as often as it's happening. It's a very challenging and demanding role. The financials, as you know, are there's a lot of challenges that go with that. So you might look at this as a demotion or just a change. I would probably just say it's a new opportunity. I do think that I can probably provide some significant value to both the Assembly, the Mayor, and the administration going forward in this role. So I think I can still be valuable to the city. Maybe not as valuable as I currently am, but I have full faith in the administration and Philippe coming in that they'll be able to continue to manage that very demanding area. And this is just kind of maybe an opportunity for me to try some. It does fit with my background because I've been involved in almost every department in every area. So if we're going to actually look at things, I think I'm actually the right person to do that, and I am looking forward to that particular thing.
And I just want to jump in and say, be very clear that this is not a demotion and that Alden brings a level of expertise and skill to everything he does, and I'm really excited about the potential opportunities here too, and hopefully you have some of that excitement too. I know that, again, the value that Alden brings to whatever he does is tremendous, and that there's so much work to do in the municipality. I mean, I wish we could clone you 1,000 times out. That would certainly help our staffing issues and also, raise us to a certain caliber that would be really, really great, so.
I appreciate you clarifying that, and bad words on my part, but I love that you are taking care of yourself and that that's a position that may allow you to get off the hot plate a little bit and expand your career in different ways. So
we can informally call you the Chief Internal Auditor.
There seems to be a lot of chiefs. I'm fine. I will say, I do think, I have a very good working relationship with the Assembly. You know that. I have done a lot of, from even day one at SAP. The whole point was to work with the Assembly and the Assembly's outside auditor and so forth. So I've spent pretty much all 9 of my years here in some direct contact with the Assembly. And I do see that this position is going to be very similar to that. And that relationship, I think, is going to continue. And like I said, I don't want to infer what the department should be. I think this is an opportunity to really decide on what we want to do going forward. And with the assistance of the mayor, I think we can do that. And if we want to tweak things, I don't want to say change, but if we want to make things better, then I'm the guy to do it, and we'll make it happen. And we'll come out with a product in the end that is actually, that department is efficient and beneficial to the city. And I think that's what we all want.
So you just stepped into something then that is worth, I'm sorry, go ahead, Anna. And I'll come after.
Yeah, thanks, just briefly, and I'll echo, I really appreciated working with you in your current / prior role as CFO, and really appreciate all of your knowledge and expertise there. My question is around audit, and actually I also appreciate your comments around looking holistically and not just saying here's the narrow scope of what we're evaluating, we're really not going to make things better. But I guess, can you, because this is just something I've been confused about, I think, for a while, can you kind of talk a little bit more about what you see the scope of internal audit being as a department, obviously because it's separate from the financial audit that we've been talking about and is a big deal as well. Because I know, as you said, there's been a lot of different audits, but really what do you see your role being, or this department's role in the municipality, and then what are, I guess, kind of the outer boundaries of that that allow you to be more kind of holistic looking. Thanks.
Well, yeah, thank you, Member Briley. That's an interesting question, and I don't want to jump to conclusions about what the Assembly and the Mayor wants, but I certainly always have an opinion. I see a lot of sunshine audits, and I don't really know what value a lot of those. I mean, it takes a lot of time with the Internal Audit Department. Did I do the wrong? Is it sunset, sunshine, sunset audits. I don't know what the value of those are. I see the department spent a lot of time doing that. I see the department putting forward a memo that says, what would you like us to audit? And it goes out to departments and the Assembly. I was told this, I don't know if it's true, but that the Assembly offered no internal audit suggestions for this last year. I don't know if that's true, but I know that the P-card audit gets done every year and the same results come out of it all the time. I just seem like there could be more value in what we would do. And I'm not suggesting that this is not, but maybe we need to look at, are we doing what code is saying we're doing and checking our account balances to make sure the money was accounted for? Maybe things should be looked at process driven. Are our processes for certain things that we do in the muni, are those the most efficient? Are there opportunities for efficiency or doing things differently? That is kind of a stretch from what they've historically done, but if that was a direction that we wanted to go, because I keep focusing on, we have a lot of needs for the departments to do things either differently, more efficiently, or accurately, because that all ultimately rolls up into some of the organizations that I have been responsible for. I would really be interested in trying to, if there's an opportunity to investigate or look into some of these things and really find out, are the people getting the trainings at the different departments for certain things that they need to be doing? Do we have gaps? Are we missing things out there? Are there ways that one department's doing something just unbelievably efficient and maybe that should be replicated across the city, but no one's talking to anybody about that? I know this is what I think of, because, I've been, in a way I've lived auditing my entire life. You could talk about FEMA COVID, now that's an audit. It's just doing it from the finance side. How do we become efficient? How do we look at things? How do we make recommendations? How do we follow through with those recommendations were implemented? If that's a desire with the mayor and the administration, maybe, or the assembly, maybe that's something that the internal audit could take a look at from an independent perspective. So, like I said, I've only seen some of the things they've done. They seem to be very in the box. What does code say? Is code being followed? Kind of a thing. Maybe there's the opportunity to look at things slightly differently with that department, where you can put some people tasked with something where they have the time to look at those things, which is very difficult for departments to look at efficiencies because they're just worried about meeting their deadlines and getting their current things done. So maybe that's an opportunity. I don't know if that answers your question, and I'm not by any stretch trying to say this is what we should be doing. But those are the things that I think about as opportunities that maybe the internal audit department could take a look at.
Yeah, thanks. And I think your point that the departments are busy doing the work, so it's hard to step back and see. I think there is a lot of value in that. And I guess what I'm hearing is you're suggesting a meta audit of the audit process as well. So I think that's, I think anything that we can look at to improve how we do things is a good thing. Thanks.
All right, let's tie myself in the queue. So there's a kind of a high-level conversation that is coming to an assembly and administration near you about a few departments that exist in this quasi-branch space in between the branches. And audit is one that has some responsibility to both branches of the government. And like the chief equity officer was created in a way to serve both branches. There was a lawsuit that established that the way that it was encoded in the first go-round, it did not serve the legislative branch. Now, the charter says that the assembly has the duty of making the outside audit happen, the independent audit, and I think that's really the only place the charter is specific on audit and puts it into the assembly's hands. The code says that you serve at the pleasure of the mayor and the assembly, insofar it says removal requires the mayor with concurrence of a majority of the assembly. I think it's a majority, maybe that's one section that, maybe it said 6, so I was just looking at it, which would be weird. So I want to hear your thoughts on working between the branches.
Well, I think I've had to do that actually the last year and a half in the current role that I have been in. And I would hope that both the Assembly and the administration, what they want is they want to better the city of Anchorage as a whole. I think once you have that common goal, that the other stuff is just easily disseminated. I will tell you, I'm not that specific on code to know who the direct boss is because of this. So I'm open to, if it's determined the Assembly is the lead or the mayor's the lead, however you want to do that. But I do feel like this is supposed to be an independent third party, and I need to be able to work freely amongst that without, feeling that I'm trying to side one or the other. I mean, I think while the goals are the same, the responsibilities need to be clearly delineated as a third party to be able to come up with the most unbiased result that we need to be able to produce. So I know I'm confident I can work with the mayor and the assembly. That's all I've ever done. So that is not going to be a problem or a concern to me. How we do that and move and what the goals are might be different, and that might cause some conversations between the entities just to make sure we have the right direction that you want me to pursue.
So, second question, this one is a little bit less abstract, but maybe more meta at the same time. Have we ever audited our auditors?
You talking about BDO? Not to my knowledge.
So, not to cast aspersions at all, I'm not intending to, but we had a wave of invoices and a wave of extraordinary expenses. And in trying to assign invoices to the expenses that were approved, it's become very difficult. And there's definitely been some conversation about can we go through and review closely what we were billed, what we had been kind of forced to extend when we were told either you do this or we put our pencils down on Friday. Those kind of moments led me to feel like we need to spend some extra time. And then one of our invoices, we wrote back to them like, this doesn't make sense. And they actually wrote off about $50,000. And so I'm concerned that in that dynamic moment that we had to get through, we didn't do ourselves any favors in how we accounted for those expenses. And so I've had a conversation, I don't know who would be the right entity to do that, whether it's a CFO thing, OMB thing, whether it's an auditor thing, but some attention is warranted, I think.
We did ask, I know, at one point for, a justification of, I think, the final invoice of where these additional hours, and they did provide us names and summarization of hours. I don't think we got the detail that what they were working on, what days and so forth. That must be available because it was pulled from the summary perspective. But yeah, I would think that at some point, I don't know which department, I agree that kind of gets fuzzy, but we should be able to, I would think, to ask our auditor to provide the listing of all the people and all the hours that worked on that they're billing us. And if we wanted to do an audit of that, seems like we should have that level of detail. But I know they provide it, it's available. I just don't think we've ever asked for it, and I think it could probably be done.
Right, and it's not for the purpose of pointing a finger, but it's because there's so much action, so much demand, so much shifting of expenses, all in a time where there was a forced pressure like that. Feels like
I still feel that pressure.
Yeah, I know you're the one who more most, and it feels like the sausage got pushed through the mill, or the ego pushed the mill really forcefully, and looking backwards a lot.
I would think if the Assembly administration wanted to do some kind of an audit of the 2022 BDO hours, there should be a mechanism to be able to request that data from BDO to do that audit.
And I might frame it with a slightly higher lens aperture, that it's an audit of our audit process for 2022 as a whole. And in that way, it doesn't single them out as a potential. That's not the point. It's that process, and did it go according to best practices? Did we miss something? That, I don't know who it would be, but it would be helpful information. So, other members? Okay, so we're at the ceiling of our time, I think, or maybe this one's for an hour, wasn't it?
I think it was 30 minutes.
Okay, so I guess we'll let you off the hook. If there's no one else, glad you're sticking around. Like I said, in my world, there's an appendage to your job title that says any special projects or Swiss Army knife. Don't think you're getting away so easy. With that, we'll have this on our agenda on Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. I think that is it for today.
Okay.
Yep.
That's out of it.
A lot more time. Thank you, everybody.
All right, gotta run to 2:40 evening. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, see you all later. Okay.
You know, it is Halloween, so the bag's coming out tonight. I mean, I will literally I will drive my kid out there to your house if I know the bags are happening.
No, we meant to just hand it, we sit out with a little fire pit on our sidewalk, and they come by, the parents get to warm their hands.
'Cause I still got one kid here, and she remembers.
I know.
Tonight's the night.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Thank you.